Hi and welcome to Hands-on Art. My name is Sandy and I am here with my succulent friends today to introduce our project called Cacti. We are going to be doing a still life based on these cute plants that store water because they live in the desert. We'll do a mix of cactus and succulents, and we will do a still life. Now, a still life is an arrangement. Usually it's fruit or flowers, but today it's going to be cacti. And here's a sample of where we're going. Let's get started. Now, for our still life today, you have a choice of doing either a vertical or a horizontal, completely up to you. We're going to go about to the half, maybe a little below, and I'm going to make a curved line. Now, let me stop you real quick. I'm going to draw kind of hard because I want you to be able to see it. But it's a good rule of thumb whenever you're drawing with pencil is to draw as lightly as you can get away with. That way it's easy to erase and you don't leave a dent in your paper. And this is going to be the front lip of our pot. Now you can make your pot any shape. You know, there were several shapes that we could choose from. You could come out and make it, you know, like a oval or whatever. I'm just going to do a standard clay pot. So I'm going to make that lip, which means I'm going to come straight down from both sides. Now you can draw your own. You can pause this video anytime so that you can catch up and keep up. So feel free to pause anytime or just watch and come back, whatever you want to do. Now we're going to angle in on both sides, and I'm going to stop right here because I want to talk about a common drawing mistake people make. And that mistake is they draw what they know and not what they see. The same. So in this case, we know our table's flat. We know our pot has a flat bottom. It doesn't, you know, rock. But when you're drawing it, to create the illusion of a rounded pot, we are going to draw the bottom rounded. So you see I've got plant papers on either side here. I did this for fun. I thought it was interesting. I took a bunch of cactus and succulents and I printed them out. And then I did it again and I made the images pale and I went over them with a Sharpie. And that helped me to see the shapes and see the patterns and just kind of practice drawing them before I did it for you. So I included that in your materials if you want to try that. Okay, we're almost ready to put some cacti in our pot. But before we do, I wanted to quick talk about a couple rules of composition. And by that, I just mean some tips to make our art look the best that it can. So the first one is a composition rule that is attempt to balance your arrangement. So when something is bigger, it's kind of visually heavier and it can make your art feel a little tipped. So this one feels a little heavy on the left and this one balances a little better. Just something to keep in mind. Another tip is that overlapping images tend to look better. This looks a little like a row of soldiers where this just is more pleasing to the eye. Okay, another rule of composition is that if you have a few items, odd numbers tend to look better. So for instance, like you see here, if we have 2 items, our eyes tend to want to go back and forth and we don't know where to rest them. But somehow when we have 3, it feels like a group and it's more pleasing for the person looking at the picture. Same kind of goes for 4 and 5. If you have 4 items, it's a little less clear to your brain how to group them, but 5 feels like a nice group that your eye easily moves around. While we're talking about composition, I want to add the rule of thirds. And that basically says that if we were to divide our paper into 3 sections each direction, that where those sections meet, where those lines cross, is a good place to put our focal point or something that is very interesting. So if I were doing an arrangement of cactus and I wanted to add a flower, I might look for one of those places where our lines intersect and put the flower there. All right, so now let's pick some cactus to draw. I like, since I'm going to do in the front first, I'm going to pick one of these little barrel cactus, and I'm not going to come all the way to the edge of the pot, but I'm going to put kind of a rounded cactus here. And there's no right or wrong here. You just do what you think you want to do for yours, and remember the rules of composition. So you can add totally different cactus or succulents than the ones I'm doing. I also really like these spiky guys. So I'm going to put one of those in, maybe right next to this one, and put some of those spiky leaves. And they kind of have layers, so I'm going to go in behind and add some more. Notice I went over this one, so I'm going to have a choice. Do I want the barrel cactus in front or this spiky thing in front? And I think maybe I'll erase that little line and have my spiky cactus come in front of my barrel cactus. Okay, what else should we put in our pot? I'm really fond of these prickly pear cactus, so I think I'll put one in the back here. They'll kind of peek out behind the barrel. So I'm going to go up, and they're more oval. And when I get to my prickly pear, I'm going to stop. If I know that it's going to go behind, I'll stop. If you don't, then you could erase lines, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to add, you know, they have all these extra little things that grow on them. So I'm going to add some of those. And I feel like there's kind of a hole here that needs something. So I'm going to put maybe one of those tall, skinny cactus in here. All right. Now I've got lines I don't want. So this one will go behind the barrel cactus, but in front of the prickly pear cactus. How's that for tricky? So I just layered one in there. So this is the front, and then this is like the second layer and the back layer. I'm gonna erase that line carefully because it'll mess up my illusion if I'm not careful. Also, I kind of think maybe we want to put a flower in. It's a nice way to add some color to our picture. And I feel like I want it right about here because this is where the rule of thirds would say that my eye's gonna want to rest. So I'll try putting a flower in there. And okay. Then I think we're ready to switch from a pencil to our Sharpie. And our Sharpie, you see it's got two tips today, but I'm using ultra fine, not just the fine. I think it comes out just a little bit nicer. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go over all of my pencil lines and be careful not to go over where I want them erased. Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you a trick. I'm gonna teach you how to draw a table in 10 seconds flat. Can you believe that? It's true. So we're gonna lay another sheet of paper about a third of the way up, and I'm gonna cover up my picture with it. Now I'm gonna start exactly at my pot and go to the left, not all the way. I'm gonna start exactly at my pot and go to the right, not all the way. And duh, I just drew a table. Can you believe it? Our eyes just want to see that line as a table because they don't want to see our cactus floating any more than we do. Okay, so now's a good time to go in and let's erase our pencil lines. Good. So now let's add in some detail. And I purposely didn't do this with a pencil because I think it's double drawing that's not really necessary. You could have done it with a pencil, but I kind of like waiting. So now let's think what we still need to do. So I want to not forget the back of my pot and that it's oval shaped, not pointy. Over here I don't really see it because our plant's in the way. This prickly pear, they tend to have kind of almost white polka dots, but we're going to use our black Sharpie. And I'm going to flick, I'm going to make a little dot and flick. Make a little dot and flick. And that flicking is kind of a good way. You can maybe want to practice it on another sheet of paper until you get the hang of it. But I think it makes pretty nice looking spine. Now let's do this kind of a barrel cactus. I guess it could be like this one. He's a little shorter and squattier, like that. I'm going to add some lines to round this out, and then I'll add spikes to those lines. Almost looks like a pumpkin to me now. And these cactus here, a lot of times they have different colors on the edges than the rest. So, right, nearly done. But if you want, you have this wide open space and you can add some decorations to that as well. Now that's totally up to you. You could do a Native American design because it's a Southwestern theme. You can, whatever seems to interest you. You can make polka dots, flowers, stripes. I'm feeling like a zigzaggy line, and I want to show you something for whatever it's worth. I'm going to draw another parallel line here that is slightly curved, and I'm going to try to continue my illusion that this pot is rounded with my zigzag line. And here's how I'm going to do it. In the middle, it's going to look wider because that's the front. And then as it goes out, I'm going to have it be slightly narrower every time. Every zigzag is going to get a little narrower. Let's see. And it's also following the shape of the pot by being rounded, which is kind of nice. So now I'm very skinny. All right, well, I'd say that was mildly successful in making this. I don't think I did a great job, but it's not terrible. Quick, since I still have my Sharpie, I'm going to put my initials. You might want to put your name, but I'm just in the habit of putting my initials. And I'll put the year because I like to remember what year we did these projects. All right, now it's just time to color. Get started. I recommend that you layer your color. You know, there's a lot of green here, but don't forget cactus can be all different colors. They can have orange tips or yellow or have pretty colored flowers. This one's almost a little bit purple. So there's so many variations out there, and make sure that when you're doing your color, you add some variety and some interest in that regard. So keep in mind, remember, green is made from blue and yellow. So if we have green here and we add more yellow, it's going to get more and more light and more limey. And you could always add a little bit of blue and make something a little darker. You could even add in a tiny bit of black and get a new shade. And really that's it. Once you are done coloring, you are done with this project. So thank you so much for joining me today. I know I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And keep doing art. Have an art-filled week. Bye.